Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name's David Austin, and sitting across from me, as always, in this cute top and shorts thing, my beautiful bride, Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about this edition of The Session with Londa and David. We have a lot of things to cover today. But firstly, let me tell you, The Session with Londa and David is brought to you by Sherwood Austin Solutions. With over 40 years of combined sales success, Sherwood Austin Solutions can help diagnose and prescribe solutions for any problem in your business. A lot of business consultants only focus on the bottom line, but Sherwood Austin Solutions takes a holistic approach to make sure all of your goals are being met. Call Londa today at 509-491-2663 so she can sit down with the people who care about your company and brainstorm ways to make it more efficient, more financially successful, and an overall better place to work. Sherwood Austin Solutions. Whether you own a bar, a restaurant, you run sales teams, or you're just a salesperson looking to up your goals, Sherwood Austin Solutions can help put together the right success plan for you today. Call again at 509-491-2663 for Sherwood Austin Solutions. It's a great time to be in business. Why not be in business with us?
I love it.
I love it too.
I'm waiting for the call. One ring a day. You know, you can text as well. And frankly, I'm more likely to respond to a text.
Which is a little odd to me because I'm an old man.
You know what? I'm a licensed realtor. So, of course, I answer my phone because that's very important.
Yes.
But, you know, my anxiety would rather somebody text. Once I get on the phone, I'm fine. I love it, and I'm
find
super
that interesting.
confident. It's a weird thing.
Are you one of those people who, if you don't recognize the phone number, lets it go to voicemail first?
No, because again, in real estate and in business in general, I think it's important to answer your phone. And I don't mind, like, if it's a sales call, because I want to analyze their pitch.
Okay.
And often I'll flip the script on them and say, hey, listen, what you really need is Sherwood Austin Solutions to help you, because
that happened
was not
to you
a great
recently.
Pitch.
You got a call.
Yeah, I did.
And it was a cold call, and she scheduled a meeting with you. Tell me about that. I found that very interesting.
Yeah, it was super interesting. So I got a call from someone, a voicemail. Hey, this mutual person that we have in common referred me to you, and I want to talk to you. Give me a call.
Mm-hmm. Which really is a great first message.
Yeah,
because
it is.
You name the person who.
Yeah, I got your name from so and so. Can you give me a call when you get a chance?
Yes.
Of course, my relationship with so and so compels me to call this person.
Sure. Then you call.
Then I called, and it was it was like I'm trying to ask her what she wanted. Like, what is this concerning? What is this about?
Yes. And
it was a lot of tiptoeing around, not really giving me information. And I finally just said, listen, I'm confused. What is this? Well, what I was really hoping to do is get on a Zoom call with you. You know, this was, you don't really know me. I don't really know you. So I'd like to schedule an appointment to really, get on this Zoom meeting with you and find out more about you and what you do and la, la, la. My gut right then would be to say no.
Right.
Absolutely. And let me explain that a little bit.
Yes.
Everything the salesperson who was trying to sell me on this,
yes,
everything she was saying to me compelled me to say no. So it was all wrong.
Yes. And this is coming from someone who's been a telephone cold caller in real life. You've done that.
Oh, yeah. The hardest 2 years of my life.
Yeah. Yep.
Every morning from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. on an auto dialer. Ugh. Oh, it was, I learned a lot though.
Yeah.
Anyway, but because I'm interested in people's sales processes, I went ahead and scheduled the appointment.
Sure.
Because immediately I thought, I don't know what you're selling, but you need my help. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm being honest.
Not on sign.
So I scheduled the meeting, and then we I call into the Zoom meeting at the appointed time, and she's clearly on another call with someone else.
Right. So,
like, I want to encourage you, if you have Zoom appointments that you do, you've got to really watch your clock.
Yes.
And not be on the last call when the next call comes in,
right.
or have two different Zoom links that you use so that someone's waiting, like in a waiting room,
sure,
while you're wrapping up the other call. So, and this is what I heard. I get in it and nobody's muted, right? And so that's another thing. You can auto mute people coming in or whatever. And I see her, and I hear a man's voice say, well, I don't really get it. What is this all about? And that's at the end of their appointment.
Right.
So I thought, ooh. And then real quick, she like waves to me, presumably, and mutes to where I can't hear
I gotcha.
the conversation.
Right.
So then gets off and
was she visibly flustered when she got off the other call and came to you and unmuted it?
Okay, well, let me tell you. You tell me. So she goes like this. Oh, hi, Londa. I'm so sorry about that. And I'm in my basement doing these calls today. And so.
Ooh. Okay. So couple quick things before we go more, because I know there's more to talk about, but from what you've said, people need to think of these Zoom meetings, and I know this is going to sound goofy, as a broadcast opportunity. And the end of your meeting needs to have a hard stop. It's like if you're listening to a talk show on the radio. They always end at 58:50. And the reason they end at 58:50 is so they can play a 1-minute commercial, a 10-second station identification required by the FCC, and then go into whatever news product they have at the top of the hour. It's a hard out. And sometimes you hear people say, well, that's all we have for you. We'll see you next time. And then they're out on a show, right?
Right. Yeah, I've heard that.
That should have been what she did with that caller. You should have never heard her say,
that's what I'm saying.
I still don't get it. That is inexcusable. And if it were a normal person, not someone who's a business coach, who's always looking to give suggestions, a normal person would have hung up. A normal person would have been skeeved out and hung up.
Oh, for sure. A normal person wouldn't even have taken the appointment.
That's right. Okay, now let's get back to it. So she comes to you, she's flustered, she's been in the basement, go.
She says, oh, let me just unblur my background. I'm just in the basement today making these calls. And it was blurred for her previous thing. She unblurred it for me.
So you could see the murder basement
and I'm
behind her?
I don't even understand what's going on here. But anyway, we and I don't want to go into all the details of it, but we talked for a little while and she still wasn't getting to the point.
Oh, wow. Okay. She wasn't getting to the point. That's good. I like it.
And so I said, but I knew immediately what she was doing, like, because I'm smart and I pieced it together and I'm like, oh, this is what she's trying to do, but I'm going to make her tell me.
I got you.
Right?
I got you.
But then I finally said, hey, what if we do this? Because I'm not really getting it. Why don't I tell you a little bit more about me and what I do? And then you can determine whether or not it's going to fit with what you're doing, because I suspect that it won't, but maybe there's a piece I'm not seeing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So now this is my opportunity to pitch her. That's the moment I flipped the script on her.
Right.
And started pitching her on Sherwood Austin Solutions. And not only that, I said, I'm a licensed realtor, and I have this consulting company, and I run an Airbnb, and I have a podcast, and I'm a writer and a speaker and all these things.
And there's more things coming to what you do, but let's talk about that later.
Yeah. And I said, but the bottom line here is it sounds like you need someone who is in one location all the time.
Right.
And she was like, well, yeah. I said, well, that's not me. I travel extensively. I go back and forth between Washington and Louisiana now.
Right.
And I can't commit to a once a month meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's for me. However, I know a lot of people that might be interested in that I might be able to connect you to.
For a small fee.
I said, but more importantly, I think this was, kind of serendipitous that we met because who knows how we're going to work together in the future. And she says, oh yeah. And then again, I'm like I'm like soft selling the thing. And so, I want to help her because then I said, can you send me like a website or your LinkedIn or, something where
any
I can
kind of collateral so I can get a feel for what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. So we hang up, right, with the expectation we're going to talk again soon. I'll reach out to her.
Right.
And so now I've got a follow-up appointment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she sends me via email a couple things, and then she sends me a connection request on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Once I see her LinkedIn, I go, oh, now I can write her stuff.
I gotcha.
Because now I go, oh, I see she's this, she does this. It's all right there in her LinkedIn, but she's just not good at taking that information and making it into what is commonly in sales called an elevator pitch.
Right.
A 30 to 60 second introduction of who you are and what you do.
She needs scripting.
She really does.
A lot of people who make cold calls think the scripting is crap. It doesn't fit for me.
Right.
And they get off the scripting.
And she super needs scripting because of what she does and what she's trying to do.
Right.
And I promise you, she's getting a lot of no's that are unnecessary.
Right.
That could easily be converted to yeses with the right opening.
Right. And that's the key. People who don't believe in scripting or who throw out the scripting with which their company provides them often fail.
Right.
And the reason they fail is because every conversation they're reinventing the wheel. So they have no consistent themes. They have no consistent things. I am a relational seller. So my scripting...
You sure are.
My scripting is often... Tell me about you. I want to know all about you. Even though I'm trying to sell them a product, I want to know all about them because I don't want to sell them a product that doesn't work for them.
Right. And that's the intake information, right?
Right.
Often referred to as form.
Yes.
And it's a needs analysis, basically, but approaching it, and we've got previous podcasts where we break form down and talk about the basics, but
I think the science of sales, maybe
that may be the name of the and you're really trying to figure out what their need is, and whether or not your service or product can fill their need. And it's not even there used to be in sales, we talked a lot about find their point of pain and drill into that with your solution.
Yes.
Or find their point of pleasure and drill into that. Oh, that sounded dirty. I don't mean it that way, but
point of pleasure and drill into
that.
I kind of specialize in that.
Give them more of what they want. That's kind of old school language.
Yes.
And it's really more about, listen, what do you need? What does your company need? What do you need as a human? What do you need? And can my product or service fill that need?
Right.
And, if it can, great. And if it can't, here's a huge tip for people in sales. If it can't, point them to a resource that can.
Right.
And this is why. Meet the need. Whether you're getting paid or not.
Right.
Whether you get any compensation or not, be a connector for people. connect them to their solutions, because they'll appreciate it. And that will come back around. It's kind of, karma, I guess. What you put out there comes back to you.
Sure.
But really just leaving a good impression with people that, wow, I really like that person. They'll remember and maybe refer business back to you, or maybe not, or who cares, but just be a decent human.
Right. My motto, kindness is always appropriate.
Yeah.
Works in sales. If you are truly, and somebody asked me, David, how can kindness be the number one quality of a good salesperson? Kindness. I said, well, because if you're kind, you're ethical. If you're kind, you do the right thing for people. If you're kind, and he's like, well, what about people who pretend to be kind? That's not being kind.
Right.
That's pretending to be kind. And that's disingenuous.
Yeah.
And people can smell that.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Authenticity is very important. And I would say for me, kindness is in my top 5. But as a salesperson, for me, I think my greatest asset that I bring is a natural curiosity.
Sure.
About people. I want to know about, just like that. I took the appointment with that person knowing I don't think this is going to work out. This is not, I can't fill the need she's looking for, but I think I can fill a different need.
Right. And that's the magic.
And I can connect her to people who could fill the need she is looking for. And that is the magic right there. But it only happens when you're naturally curious. People who talk about, oh, I hate when salespeople come to my door. If you live in a neighborhood and you get people door knocking for pest service or lawn service or, cleaning products or whatever. Oh, I hate that. And I never answer the door. Oh, I answer it every time.
Well, and I shouldn't be allowed to answer it because I'm the biggest easy mark on the planet.
Easiest
if you show up at my house and do the rainbow vacuum cleaner thing,
we're getting a rainbow vacuum.
Where you run the hot water through the vacuum and it sucks up dirt that you just threw on my carpet.
Yeah.
I'm buying that.
Yeah.
Because I'm easy. And it's because I know how hard what they're doing is.
Yeah.
And I'm always rooting for them.
Yeah. And I've done door-to-door sales as well.
Oh, and that's horrible.
That's one reason why, door knocking is in real estate is a form of door-to-door sales. And
Sure.
I've done other products door-to-door. And maybe that's one reason why I have a little bit of a soft spot for those people. But also, I just want to see their presentation because one, I'm always learning, right? And like, oh, that's good. Or if they do a great job, I might buy their product or service. If they do a great job, I might not buy their product or service, but they're going to walk away feeling great because I'm going to tell them everything they did right and tell them this is what I do for a living. I analyze people's processes, and let me tell you, spot on.
Love that.
And you coach them for free at the door.
I do coach them for free, and that's my problem with the consulting firm and why I tell people to call your phone number and not my phone number.
I know, but the problem with that is like last week when I spent 45 minutes consulting someone who's wanting to get into a business.
Right.
And then she said, okay, at the end of the call, she's like, okay, so do you just invoice me or whatever? But because we're old friends from high school, I was like, don't worry about it. It's fine. This is on me.
And that's the magic. She's heard the podcast.
Yeah. She listens
called
to
you.
it. Yeah.
It's just like when you and I went on our first business meeting. I was at a business meeting and you were on a date, and I didn't realize.
You say that I was on a date.
Say that.
I was hoping maybe to turn it into a follow-up that could be a date. I did go into that meeting planning to tell you, hey, I think we should date.
Right.
And that never happened.
Right, because
it doesn't matter why.
So you're just as oblivious as I am. She called you for a coaching session, which costs $450 for the initial call.
Yeah.
And you thought you were having a friend conversation.
I know. And truly, though, the love that I have for this person
cost you $450.
And I'm okay with that.
Then that's an expense that's worth it.
Yeah.
You do the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very
And it's okay
excited.
when we already have lined up. She's gonna hire me to consult when she starts the business. And
Perfect.
so, it's going to be fine, but yeah, you and I both give it away. At the door, though,
That made me popular in high school.
Yeah. Whoa. At the door, with the salespeople at the door, though, you give them the whole breakdown.
I do.
Like, hey, if you just tweak this and do that,
Yep.
and whatever. Now we're going to have people showing up at our door.
Well, they're more than welcome to come. And remember, coaching sessions start at $450 for the first consult.
Right.
There
right.
you go. That's how it works.
Right. But they can stay in the Airbnb on our property
For only $80 a night.
That's right. And then, and then we can do an immersive weekend.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about what I've called for the last 6 months, the Bro Bridge Austin compound.
We need a new name, people.
Don't love the compound.
I hate the word compound, and so I would like our listeners to send us suggestions.
How about South Louisiana Resort?
Well, I don't hate that.
South Louisiana Resort is good. 30 minutes from the Gulf of Mexico, far enough away to not get any tidal surge if there's a hurricane, but close enough to get there in under an hour.
Maybe.
That's not a bad angle.
Maybe.
I could sell that.
I still want to be open to listeners' suggestions for what to call our little piece of the world here.
Absolutely, let us know. I like South Louisiana Resort.
Yeah.
The Austin South Louisiana Resort is a good name for our Airbnb.
And hey, we're looking to put a tiny home or two on the property. And so if you have any leads for that, will you please reach out to me, because, we'd like to do it as cost effectively as possible.
And that's the same phone number as Sherwood Austin Solutions.
Yep.
That number again is 509-491-2663. One more time, 509-491-2663.
We're gonna call them cottages, though.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
Although there is cottages on the Tesh right down the road, and they are straight trash.
Yeah, but ours will be nice.
Okay, that's fine. That's very, very good. Okay, so before we get to the question of the week, I want to talk about the biggest news going on in our world right now, and it's very exciting.
Are you gonna?
I'm not going to give all the information because it's too early.
Okay,
but I can tell you we have a launch date already of August 22nd. To bring...
We don't even have a name yet. We don't have a...
We have a launch date of August 22nd to bring the chemistry that you and I provide during the session with Londa and David to terrestrial radio.
Yep.
Here's why that's exciting. Because we're going to, as Sherwood Austin Solutions, be able to sell advertising in the show, which will be awesome because it'll get us in front of more business owners. And when they buy our show, which will be on terrestrial radio.
What is terrestrial?
It's not satellite radio.
Oh.
It's terrestrial. It's the radio that comes out of towers on the ground.
Oh.
Yeah, that's...
I think of E.T. when you say that.
Well, he's the extraterrestrial, which means he's not from Earth.
Oh, look at that. We're all learning today.
So, very excited. It's with a large media corporation that owns several radio and television stations. I'm not going to give you the name because the contracts aren't signed and the money's not in the bank, but... It's a very exciting time. And if all goes well, you'll be seeing our TV commercials if you live in South Louisiana in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. And
with a launch date of August 22nd.
And it Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday during morning drive, 6 to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's a talk product. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
News
But
and commentary.
News, commentary, sports, weather, all the good stuff that you'd have during your morning radio show.
There you go.
It's news the way it used to be. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
It's good news.
It is good news for Louisiana.
It is.
And everyone else. And here's the best part about this
product.
Endeavor.
Oh, Endeavor.
If you love the podcast, you will love the show, and it doesn't matter where you live because there's an app for your phone. So if you're one of our listeners in Tri-Cities, Washington, you'll be able to hear it, if you'd like, every single morning on your phone.
There you go.
Or on your smart speaker.
Will that app,
or in your car while you're driving.
Will that app work like in other countries? Like it works everywhere?
Yes.
Okay, because we have international listeners.
We do. So
like 17 different countries or something
that's
consistently
exactly right.
listen to our podcast. I don't know why, but
it's the weirdest thing ever.
But when I, over my coaching career,
Yes.
I've had clients in a lot of different countries. So I guess maybe it does make sense if people are still following me.
Yeah. Germany, we get a lot of hits. Well, we have friends in Germany, so that's less strange sounding than it's less strange than it sounds, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Okay, so that is the news. August
exciting.
22nd, big things are happening.
Right.
And the Austins will be back on terrestrial radio.
You'll hear Austin's on air.
You will. You'll join the Austins on air every day from 6 to 8 a.m. on the radio or on the internet or on an app on your phone. And we'll tell you more about it as we get closer. But again, the ink isn't dry on the contracts, but our logo's currently being produced by this media organization. Mm-hmm. Our imaging is underway.
Yep.
We've already gotten our headshots taken care of, and we've gotten our bios taken care of. So that's exciting.
Yeah, the meetings have been really fun. I'm really excited.
And in the next couple weeks, we'll be going out to businesses in the community where this show will originate and get them signed up. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm excited to see, what kind of sponsors we can align with.
Well, I have a couple really good targets in mind right now. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're not just doing a radio show, that we're going to have a TV tie-in, we're going to have an app for your phone. Yep. It's going to be bigger than just being on local radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And multiple markets are in the works.
Right. So if you're right now in Louisiana and you know of somebody that you think would be a good sponsorship, sponsor alignment for us, please send them our way.
Absolutely. We will talk to every business that's interested.
And see if it's a match or not.
That's exactly right. And maybe part of the deal is more than commercials. We do a Sherwood Austin Solutions consulting as part of the deal. Makes perfect sense to me.
We don't know.
Whatever the case, we're super excited about that. And we will, as we get closer, help you figure out how to listen and be a part of that project as well. Okay. It's 28 minutes into the show. What is the question of the week?
Oh, here it is. Are you ready?
Yes.
I heard a national mortgage company closed this week. What does that mean? What does this mean? And let me add to that question. Major real estate companies are shrinking or closing. Like, what is going on?
Well,
I'm freaking out. I'm not freaking out, but because I know, but people are freaking out.
Right. Well, and I can tell you this, Friday's jobs report came out and it was rosier than anticipated, which sounds all well and good that there were about 150,000 more jobs created than anticipated. Big news. However, you need to temper that news with the actual employment picture in the nation. 62,000 people left the workforce during that time. You know what I mean? So the numbers aren't as rosy as they sound. Compounded with Sprout Mortgage, which was probably the nation's largest non-QM lender. And if they weren't the largest, they were getting close to that. And that means qualified mortgages, non-qualified mortgages. So kind of boutique loans that you can't use traditional documentation for, like bank statement loans. They specialized in that.
Okay.
Or bank statement loans or stated income loans, but not risky loans. Here's the thing. This company closed its doors on Friday without any prior warning. No one got paid. None of the checks that were due were deposited, right?
Right.
And 300 people lost their jobs that day. They were actually... one of the sources that I read reported that Thursday they got a alert for a conference call that was like on Zoom or something, and they all went, and the president of the company told them all, "Hey, look, guys, I'm just letting you know, while we're doing $380 million a month in production, we're losing money. We're closing our doors.
Don't come to work today.
You're done."
Oof.
And people were like, will we still get paid on Friday? Will we still have our benefits? And
what does it mean? What is this pointing toward?
Well, number one, you think non-QM loans, and instantly you think about those subprime loans of
you do
2006, 2007, 2008.
The average
right?
Joe or Jane doesn't, but you
These
do. Yeah.
weren't risky loans that they were doing. Their average score was 720.
So what?
These people had to put 20% down. These were safe loans.
So what?
The reason they were having trouble is because on the secondary market, there was no appetite to buying those non-QM loans.
Okay.
So even though they had them and bundled them up, nobody was buying them.
Is this part of what's the bigger picture here?
Well, the bigger picture is we are getting closer to a recession.
Okay.
And a recession is great news for mortgage interest rates. It's also good news for home values. So this all could be some sort of plan to make interest rates lower again and make houses more valuable. Who knows?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the good news is 300 people lost their jobs. 50 people a month ago were laid off from that company as well. So it's no surprise that layoffs were happening. The good news is most of those people are being absorbed by other companies.
Oh, okay.
And now the non-QM market is a little more open because the biggest player in the game, fast approaching the biggest player in the game, is gone.
Okay.
So if there are companies wanting to play in that space, there's a whole bunch of opportunity, $380 million worth per month of opportunity.
And that would be
just opened up.
A takeaway that I'd encourage our listeners to have from this is you don't have to be afraid of recession.
Right.
A downturn always presents incredible opportunity.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And if you watch realtors who do social media, they're all talking about, hey, the markets have shifted. And this is everywhere. This is not just in one of the many markets that we see. In all of them, they're all saying the same thing. Things seem to be slowing down. And that's because the national media is making people believe that the sky is falling.
Right.
Recession doesn't mean the sky is falling. It just means we've gone backwards financially, not forwards. Everybody's all about growth. Well, if the gross domestic product is smaller 2 times in a row, you're in a recession.
Right.
Well, guess what? That's already happened. So now they're trying to show us other things to make it look like we are not in a recession. It's coming, kids. It's coming. And good news, if you're waiting to close on a house, interest rates are going down.
There you go.
And that's that. There you go. That's my whole story, and I'm sticking to it. The jobs report looked way rosier at the initial onset of today or of Friday. Mortgage-backed securities opened down 60 basis points. Upon further review of the jobs report, we need to temper our excitement, and they came racing right back.
Right. And people are still, listen, we all still have to live and work and play.
That's right.
And so be cheerful about it. Look for the opportunities, and there may be, I saw a comment on social media. Somebody said, one person shared a listing for a home that's for sale, and said, I can't believe this house is in our neighborhood. I can't believe it's still for sale. This is a great opportunity, whatever. And someone commented on it and said, we're just waiting for prices to go down.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Hey, folks, prices are not going to go down. They'll stabilize. They'll balance,
but they'll still be more expensive than they were at this time last year.
The best time to buy a house is now.
That's exactly right.
Always. Real estate is still, has always been, may always be the best investment ever.
Well, and let me just give you one quick example. If you waited to sell your home and buy a new one, in November, you were hearing how appreciation was huge.
Right.
And you thought, you know what? I'm going to wait till next year to sell.
Right.
Well, let me tell you what would have happened in a real world scenario. We bought this house in South Louisiana after selling our vacation home in Florida. Had we waited, we might have gotten more than the $150,000 of appreciation that we enjoyed on that sale. We might have gotten more. But our interest rate, because we closed at the end of December, was 3.25%. So if we waited until January, which is
just January,
2 months after we listed it, if we'd have waited 2 months, the interest rate would have been 4.5%, not 3.25%.
Right.
Let me tell you, sounds great to have a little more money in the bank. Way worse for your house payment, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. One more thing. If you, just talking about investing in real estate, I know that in Washington State, there's a little bit of a shift right now because the tenant laws are changing.
Yes.
And landlords are getting pretty frustrated with the tenant laws that very, very heavily favor the tenants in Washington State. So what we're seeing is a little bit of a trend of landlords dumping their properties.
I gotcha.
Okay. And I would say this, if you're in Washington State and you are a landlord and you want to dump your property, that might be a good idea. Take that money and find a growing market in a different state and invest it there.
You know, that's a great idea. I've looked at, over the years, followed the Detroit real estate market, and you can buy some really nice properties there, or could, for dirt cheap because of the abject poverty there. Right. Like historic homes that were turn-of-the-century mansions. For $80,000 because no one's lived in them for 8 years and they've got a ton of water damage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that is still an opportunity.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different areas of the country. And I know that a lot of people who regularly invest in real estate already know this, but I'm talking to the people who don't already know it, that you can pull that money out and put it in different markets across the country, hire a property management company, and you do not have to be there at all. And I'll tell you this, too, if you have a really good realtor on your investment team that you work with, that realtor will know other realtors in other markets and be able to make that even a smoother process than what you might expect.
Through referrals.
Yeah,
and
a great
that's
realtor
awesome.
makes a big difference. And then when you've got a good property management team, but stay out of South Louisiana because it's terrible. You don't want to put your money here. Wink, wink.
That's awesome.
It's an amazing market.
It's an amazing market, and it's shocking how inexpensive real estate is here. But people here are seeing values higher than they've ever seen them, so they're a little shocked by how much stuff's costing. So, word to the wise, if you are a Washington resident who sold a couple of investment properties, you may want to give Londa and I a call about what you can do in this market for far less than
or
you
other
imagine.
Markets. I'm pretty familiar with investment markets across the nation.
There you go. This has been The Session with Londa and David, brought to you each week by Sherwood Austin Solutions. My name's David Austin, and sitting across from me, as always, Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin. We'll see you next week.